Krishna, Adame Prati, Kilagia Nileta, Kurue Megati, Kilagia Nileta, Kurue Megati. Kicho Kajatama Hey Hanuman Eche Kicho Kajatama Hey Hanuman Nahe Keno Hane Stane Nahe Keno Hane Stane Rajastama Gunena Sabayatana Rajastama Gunena Sabayatana Vasudev Pratharuche Nahise Prasana Vasudev Pratharuche Nahise Prasana Tabe Jane Namakrima Hoy Ahoy Toki Tabe Jane Namakrima Hoy Ahoy Toki Sakale Sambhava Sekutuki Sakale Sambhava Sibabai Ujjale Kana Ujje Se Rasa Sibabai Ujjale Kana Ujje Se Rasa Eta Kripa Koro Prabhu Nijabasa Eta Kripa Koro Prabhu Nijabasa Tomara Ichaya Sama Hoy Maya Basa Tomara Ichaya Sama Oi Maya Tomara Ichaya Nasa Maya Parasa Tomara Ichaya Nasa Maya Parasa Tapa Icha Hore Hare Tadera Ora Tadera Ora Uti Hai Shai Kata Se Uti Hai Shai Kata Se Bhagavate Katase Tapa Avata Bhagavate Katase Tapa Avata Ira Hoya Shune Yade Kane Baba Ira Hoya Shune Yade Kane Baba Srivatam Shrakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Prityantas Toya Bhadrane Vidhunoti Sukrishna Vatatam Punya Shravana Vidyantasto Yamadhane Vidhunoti Sukrishna Nasta Prayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyottama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistaki Nasta Prayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyottama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistaki Arajas Tamo Bhava Amalo Badaya Itai Tai Anavinam Stitam Sattve Prasiddhate Arajas Tamo Bhava Amalo Badaya Shita Etaya Titam Sattve Prasivate Evam Prasana Manaso Bhagavat Bhakti Yogataha Bhagavat Tattva Vijnana Mukta Sangasya Jayate Evam Prasana Manaso Bhagavat Bhakti Yoga Bhagavat Tattva Vijnana Mukta Sangasya Vidyate Trinaya Grantis Chidyante Savarga Samsayaha Chiyante Chasya Karmani Rista Evat Manishvare Vidyate Trinaya Grantis Chidyante Savarga Samsayaha Chiyante Chasya Karmani Krishna Evat Manishvara Just Ate Kame Aine Nishta Rajastano Ate Kame Aine Nishta Hridaye Abhadra Sa Uchibetaha Hridaye Abhadra Sa Uchibetaha Shikore Uddhavokata Manase Chahe Shikore Uddhavokata Manase Chahe Putra Adina Dina Oro Shakti Nade Putra Adina Dina Oro Shakti Nade Akachane Prabhu Akaboli Bhare Akachane Prabhu Akaboli Bhare Jeto Marita Prabhu Koro Mare Jeto Marita Prabhu Koro Mare Akila Jagat Archana Seyama Akila Jagat Archana Seyama Amrita Hore Bhagavata Tapa Kripa Halema Tata Sudahame Tapa Kripa Halema Tata Sudahame Shuniya Sabara Shoka Dukha Te Gochi Me Shuniya Sabara Shoka Dukha Te Gochi Me Adayat Amare na chahe Aniya chodra Amare na chahe Na cha Na chodra Nacha se mane, nacha, nacha se mane. Kastera kale jata, nacha se mane. Kastera kale jata. Bhakti nai Vedanai Name Gopdana Bhakti nai Vedanai Name Gopdana Bhakti Vedanta Name Satakora Bhakti Vedanta Name Satakora Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Nitai Gora Haribo. Want to read the translation or read the translation? Okay. We're reading the translation. My dear Lord Krishna, you are so kind upon this useless soul, but I do not know why you have brought me here. Now you can do whatever you like with me. But I guess you have some business here, otherwise why would you bring me to this terrible place? Most of the population here is covered by the material modes of ignorance and passion. Absorbed in material life, they think themselves very happy and satisfied, and therefore they have no taste for the transcendental message of Vasudeva. I do not know how they will be able to understand it, but I know your causeless mercy can make everything possible because you are the most expert mystic. How will they understand the mellows of devotional service? O Lord, I am simply praying for your mercy so that I will be able to convince them about your message. All living entities have come under the control of the illusory energy by your will, and therefore, if you like, by your will, they can also be released from the clutches of illusion. I wish that you may deliver them. Therefore, if you so desire their deliverance, then only will they be able to understand your message. The words of Srimad Bhagavatam are your incarnation, and if a sober person repeatedly receives it with submissive oral reception, then he will be able to understand your message. It is said in the Srimad Bhagavatam 1:17-21, Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma Supersoul in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who relishes his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regular hearing of the Bhagavatam and rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is practically destroyed, and loving service unto the glorious Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. At the time loving service is established in the heart, modes of passion, rajas, and ignorance, tamas, and lust and desire, calm, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness, and he becomes happy. Thus established in the mode of goodness, the man rejuvenated by loving service to the Lord gains liberation from material association, mukti, and comes to know scientifically of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, the knots misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruitive actions, karma, is terminated when one sees the self as master. He will become liberated from the influence of the modes of ignorance and passion, and thus all inauspicious things accumulated in the core of the heart will disappear. How will I make them understand this message of Krishna consciousness? I am very unfortunate, unqualified, and the most fallen. Therefore, I am seeking your benediction so that I can convince them. Somehow or other, O Lord, you have brought me here to speak about you. Now, my Lord, it is up to you to make me a success or failure as you like. O spiritual master of all the worlds, I can simply repeat your message. So if you like, you can make my power of speaking suitable for their understanding. Only by your causeless mercy will my words become pure. I am sure that when this transcendental message penetrates their hearts, they will certainly feel gladdened and thus become liberated from all unhappy conditions of life. O Lord, I am just like a puppet in your hands. So if you have brought me here to dance, then make me dance. Make me dance. O Lord, make me dance as you like. I have no devotion, nor do I have any knowledge, but I have strong faith in the holy name of Krishna. I have been designated as Bhaktivedanta. And now, if you like, you can fulfill the real purpose of Bhaktivedanta. Signed, the most unfortunate, insignificant beggar, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, on board the ship Jaladuta, Commonwealth Pier, Boston, Massachusetts, USA, dated 18th of September, 1965. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna everyone, and especially to the devotees who are online. We are starting in Homages. Please note that on Zoom we have got Arjuna Prabhu who is monitoring devotees on mute and unmute. So put your hands up when you are speaking so that Arjuna Prabhu can mute you so that then you can speak and then you unmute them. To begin with the Homages, we are starting from the devotee. We are starting from the devotees who are in the temple room, so we'll get His Grace Kailatirtha Prabhu to please come forward and speak or read the homages from His Holiness Devahuti Maharaj. Kailatirtha Prabhu.
Grateful and respectful obeisances at your lotus feet. Far down at the bottom of the earth, gazing over the Pacific Ocean, I meditate not on the immense waters thundering as countless waves, but on the boundless expanse of your mercy, dynamically reconnecting us to the Supreme Beloved. Although the planet Earth contains twice as much water as land, who today can fully fathom the mysteries of the sea? Oceanographers are fond of saying that science knows less about the high seas than it does about the moon. One day mankind may comprehend the deeper secrets of the ocean and the moon, but who can ever grasp the depths and scope of your compassion and mercy? Dedication to your lotus feet bestows the chance to develop love for Radha and Krishna. How is it that I am allowed to approach your divine lotus feet, the magnanimous treasure trove of pure bhakti? Why did you dare engage such a wretch in life's most exalted activity, devotional service? Through thick and thin of my meager attempts to serve you, why do you bother to sustain such an inconsequential speck, a most diminutive insect-like semblance of a devotee? Akrura, on his way to Vrindavana, beautifully illustrated the miraculousness of your divine rescue mission, the incomparable intervention. Quote, just as a blade of grass floating on the waves of a river may by chance come near the shore and gain shelter, a conditioned soul carried away by the waves of material existence may sometimes be saved by the grace of Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 38, Text 5. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu declared to Sanatan Goswami, my dear Sanatan, Krishna has saved you from a Maharovara, life's deepest hell. He is an ocean of mercy, and his activities are very grave. Swiftly, most appropriately, Sanatan replied, I do not know who Krishna is. As far as I'm concerned, I have been released from prison only by your mercy. It's from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, 20, 63, 64. With the strength you grant, I can then strive to never forget both the darkest depths of ignorance from where I came and the most exalted destination to where I can go. Without at least a lifetime of humble service to your lotus feet, I'll never resolve the most confidential perplexity of existence. Desiring to understand the glory of Radharani's love, the wonderful qualities in him that she alone relishes through her love, and the happiness she feels when she realizes the sweetness of his love, the Supreme Lord Hari, richly endowed with her emotions, appeared from the room of Srimati Sachi Devi as the moon appeared from the ocean. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi 1.6. How is it the two appear as the one, and the one appears as the two? You have the right to reveal this most oceanic divine mystery. High above my shameful head, I hold this most precious goal. Waiting in service, I beg for your glance upon me and your eternal guidance. Your hopeful servant, Devamrita Swami.
How's that? Yeah. Am I starting? Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So many years ago, maybe 50 plus, an elderly gentleman, short in stature, left the land of Vrindavan. And he didn't travel by economy, he didn't travel by first class or business class, but he came as a passenger on a ship. And on that journey, he experienced so many incredible realizations. Physically, he suffered, as we know, 2 heart attacks, but he also had glimpses and realization of his relationship with the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. When we travel with our cases, with our visas, medical insurance, so many things that are basically most of the time not used. But this wonderful gentleman, he traveled with a heart full of the nectar of devotion. He traveled with a heart that was filled with Sri Ram Mayapur, Sri Jagannath Puri, Sri Vrindavan. Srila Prabhupada carried these wonderful things within his transcendental heart. And as he traversed and traveled the planet at a seemingly older age, he created everywhere he went the Vrindavan mood. He planted the seeds. At the moment, we're experiencing the coronavirus. So I suppose it's not the best example, but Srila Prabhupada was like a transcendental, spreading a transcendental virus. It was invisible, you couldn't see it. He had within his manuscript seemingly some scribbles, Sanskrit. Just like doctors, if you go to the doctor, they write out a prescription. It's like a scribble, unless you can understand it. But that scribble, due to the potency of Srila Prabhupada, turned into something, just like the scribble of a doctor manifests in the form of medicine. So Srila Prabhupada's scribble in his books the Sanskrit turned into something. And we're seeing now over many years that the Sankirtan movement, which was predicted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is spreading worldwide, every town and village. The holy names are being spread, prasadam is being spread, Srila Prabhupads are profusely being spread by the Sankirtan movement. This is why Srila Prabhupada is the best of the best. There's no other acharya that's actually set out to do and achieve what Srila Prabhupada has done. No one else had brought the holy name to every town and village. No one else had brought volumes of Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Nectar of Devotion. So even though he was short in stature, he carried the whole spiritual world. And he spread the spiritual world everywhere. Just like here in New Zealand, Srila Prabhupada came 3 times. 72, he installed the beautiful form of Sri Sri Radha Giridhari, the lifter of Govardhan. And 50 years plus later, now Govardhan has appeared in this tract of land called Varshan, New Varshan. Somehow or other, that seed, that virus, that seed of bhakti has entered into a living entity's heart. And by that seed being planted, now the beautiful Govardhan is existing. Srila Prabhupada also installed in 76 Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra. So when he was first asked, Prabhupada, we want to install these deities, Prabhupada asked Yashoda Nandana, our temple president, why? And he couldn't come up with a real meaning or understanding why. And Srila Prabhupada wasn't too happy. But then the next day, because our temple president was super intelligent, sometimes over-intelligent, he went to Prabhupada and says, Prabhupada, we want to install Jagannath so we can have Rath Yatra. And Prabhupada was very pleased. So now we have 15 Rath Yatras a year. We started off with 1. Some years we're having 15. On the average, we're having 11, 12 Rath Yatras. And everyone's getting to see the mercy of Jagannath. As Prabhupada, you've explained, by seeing the chariot and having a little faith in the chariot in the form of the Lord, one immediately obtains liberation. So what you've done and still are doing is mind-boggling to the material mind, like myself, but we can understand being blessed by the best, Lord Chaitanya, your spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Guru Kishoredas Babaji, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and the 6 Goswamis. You're coming in that line, that incredible transcendental line, and you're freely, there's no force, you're not forcing us. You came originally and you sat on the footpath just with cartel, and the policeman, he asked you to move, but you didn't protest. You didn't stand up and say, I'm ISKCON's founder Acharya. I'm worshipful, worship me. No, in a humble state of mind, you just moved to the grass and continued chanting these names. Nama Shantamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. And the names, they worked. At the beginning, no one came, but then gradually people became attracted. You weren't selling anything. You didn't have any money. You came here with 40 rupees. There was nothing to give. But this gem, this bhakti gem, and through your association, and through your speaking, through your chanting, through your prasad, through your activities, so many people became attracted. And so now this kirtan is going on around the planet non-stop. Some people are going to sleep now. Some people are waking up, doing Mangalartik. Some people are chanting japa. So at any particular time, this holy name which was predicted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is going on 24/7. There's not a time, there's not a place where this holy name is being reverberated around this planet. The amazing thing about this holy name, as we can understand in the discussion from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Haridas Thakur, Lord Chaitanya asked Haridas, how will everyone benefit from this name? Who will benefit? And Haridas Thakur says the moving will benefit, the non-moving will benefit. Everyone will benefit by this chanting of the holy names. So this is your reward. This is your glory, that out of all the acharyas, you're the only acharya that's achieved this incredible feat. It's just amazing to actually think that you've come from Vrindavan, you've brought Vrindavan, but you've actually made the benediction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu become a reality. And that's why we bow down to you. And that's why great devotees bow down to you. And as the years go by, we're only 50 years plus. I think of our movement like a body, like a person. A man doesn't really start to mature until he's 50, 55. So we're still at the beginning stages. But as the body and the mind matures, one becomes more determined, more fixed. So as the society goes on, because it's never going to stop, it's impossible for it to stop. Because as you explained, this ISKCON movement is an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You also explained that if somehow or other, due to some feat, we manage to destroy your society, the damage has been done through book distribution. We know people are just picking up a book, and once again, from the scribble, from the Sanskrit, they're picking up a book, and then by touching that book and reading that book, there's changes within the heart. Overnight, one can give up smoking. Overnight, one can become a vegetarian. Overnight, one can start chanting 16 rounds a day. Overnight, one can follow the 4 regulative principles. Overnight, one can get a taste for this chanting and hearing and reading. So this is your potency. This is your glorious. So that's why on this day, we worship you. We speak incredible things about you because you have achieved this amazing feat. So once again, thank you very much, Srila Prabhupada, for allowing us to do a little service on the Sankirtan movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Each year gets sweeter and sweeter and sweeter. So Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki. Krishna.
Namahum Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamini Tinamane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschachate Shitarane. Hare Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare. Srila Prabhupada, it is the special day of all days where we, after celebrating the transcendental appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, we celebrate the appearance of his very, very special messenger. I was thinking about that a little earlier, and you didn't come on the same day, but you came just after, at absolutely appropriate time. Srila Prabhupada, I want to share a number of things and to let you know that we're all listening to your message of Godhead. All the generations of devotees want to hear your message. They want to please you and want to serve you, Srila Prabhupada. When you came, as Kalasamvara Prabhu was just explaining, you didn't have much at your disposal, and it would appear that more or less you were on your own, but you were never alone. You explained that a sannyasi never feels that he is alone. Krishna is always with them. You also experienced the presence of your Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. What to speak of all the previous acharyas, Lord Chaitanya and Lord Krishna. So you were certainly not alone, although it may have appeared that way to the mundane eye. Again, Kalasamvara Prabhu was explaining that through mundane vision we can't understand very much, but if somehow or other we are getting a drop of the salve of love or attraction, and we are able to then see through the cataract. So the cataract is very difficult to remove. You've said it so many times in so many ways, Srila Prabhupada. But you relentlessly continued with full and firm faith. You emphasized the need for deep faith and devotional service, to accept everything, every aspect of Krishna's pastimes, his instructions, everything about Krishna. Not that you would pick and choose, but you will accept everything. In Bhagavad Gita 17:28, in the purport, you say, to achieve success, one must first find the proper spiritual master and receive training under his direction. Then one can achieve faith in the Supreme. When that faith matures in course of time, it is called love of God. This love is the ultimate goal of the living entities. Many verses you quote Srila Prabhupada to establish this idea of firm faith. For example, Tad Viganartam Sagurum Eva Vibhagachet, and you would many times relentlessly say, Vibhagachet, it means you must. If you have come to the human form of life, then it is an obligation to seek shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. Unfortunately, nobody knows this. Very few people understand that that is the special gift of the human form of life. So your whole energy was speaking relentlessly to establish this fact that unless you use the human form of life to inquire into the absolute truth, then saeva gokara. You're no better than a cow or an ass. You can go to holy places of pilgrimage. You can do so many things, but unless we inquire into the absolute truth, then our life is shrama eva hi kevalam, you would always say. A useless waste of time. Yashadeve parabhaktir yashadeve tataguru. Only to those great souls who have implicit faith in both the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the spiritual master are all the imports of Vedic knowledge automatically revealed. With implicit faith in both Guru and Krishna, then everything can be understood. Acharyavan Purusham Veda. You use this verse or aphorism often. You quoted from so many shastras to explain the position that Acharyavan, one who follows the Acharya, he knows things as they are. Reality distinguished from illusion for the benefit of all living entities. But to come to this position is not so easy. You explained that in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that those who practice Satchakra Yoga, very austere process, ultimately they attain the Supreme, but in this age it is not possible. to perform such austerities. So the easy process of bhakti yoga, but is it easy? You point out, yes, for the sentimentalists and the sahajas, that it appears very easy, but for the real bhakta, it requires tivrena bhakti yogena. To attain the final goal of life, it requires tivrena bhakti yogena. That means practicing devotional service intensely. Now, in another verse in the third canto Srimad Bhagavatam, you explain in chapter 29, Srila Prabhupada, text 12 in your purport, you define full Krishna consciousness to mean 24 hours a day. And then you go on to qualify that. And I was saying to my wife Vimala that Srila Prabhupada is such an amazing person. He's such, please, it was a little irreverential, we'd say such a case. Please forgive me, but that it was out of loving affection that we used those words. Srila Prabhupada, you were too much. Listening to this little purport we were hearing. Avyavahita means without cessation. A pure devotee must engage in the service of the Lord 24 hours a day without cessation. Okay, everyone, we got that, Srila Prabhupada. His life, then you go on to say, his life is so moldy that at every minute, so you went from 24 hours to every minute, and then you say, and every second, he engages in some sort of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Another meaning of the word avyavahita is that the interest of the devotee and the interest of the Supreme Lord are on the same level. The devotee has no interest but to fulfill the transcendental desire of the Supreme Lord. Such spontaneous service unto the Supreme Lord is transcendental and is never contaminated by the material modes of nature. These are the symptoms of pure devotional service, which is free from all contamination of material nature. So Srila Prabhupada, you were so accommodating, facilitating, you were able to reach out to all the people of all types and natures. At the same time, you didn't compromise. What an amazing, so pretty much a paradox. Accommodating but no compromise at the very same time. You were transcendental to the modes of material nature. In the Bhagavad Gita, you explain that Krishna explains that one should rise above and become transcendental to these modes of nature. Now, Prabhupada, you had so many responsibilities and demands on your attention, yet you always remained firmly fixed on your spiritual platform, whatever you had to perform. You could deal with management problems, this issue, that thing, and then step from there and give the Srimad Bhagavatam class with perfect clarity and calmness and pure transcendental goodness and be transcendental to the modes of material nature. In closing, Prabhupada, you've said many times that it's a disciple's duty not to remain a neophyte. So 45 years up the track, approximately, Srila Prabhupada, I'm thinking I better hear your instruction and stop being a neophyte. Please, I beg, on this auspicious day of your appearance, to help me to genuinely cooperate, appreciate, and learn to love my God brothers, though we may be all different, but what is the point of us going on squabbling and fighting and criticizing or whatever we may do? But if we can put that aside by your grace, you've been giving your grace for so many years, but I again will ask you please to bless me to do that and to appreciate my God brothers, God sisters, and all and every devotee. And that way we may be able to press on. So Srila Prabhupada, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your message is everything to all the devotees. please keep preaching, and we'll try to keep hearing and follow your example. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paskata Dejitarine. Srila Prabhupada, just recently, your early disciple Govinda Dasi, she shared that she'd been rummaging through some old papers that she had from her time in India. And she stumbled upon an astrological reading of Srila Prabhupada's birth chart by a renowned astrologer. When I read this description, I felt that it was totally on point. It was you, Srila Prabhupada. The astrologer said, nobody can read this chart. If they say they can, then they are simply lying. This personality comes and goes at his own sweet will. He is not bound by anybody or anything. The stars are lined up perfectly. There is no question of karma. He is working directly under the will of God. And when he writes, his pen does not have in it ink. His pen has in it fire, fire which will burn the ignorance of the whole world. Last term, at our Hare Krishna school here in Auckland, we had a focus on Srila Prabhupada. And the little ones in my class, Bal Gopal class, they focused exclusively on Srila Prabhupada's childhood pastimes. Just as Srila Prabhupada was never ordinary in any way, his childhood pastimes were also very special and relishable. So today I would like to briefly meditate on just a few of them. Abai, he was the pet child of both his mother and father. Rajani, his mother, was always very strict, while his father, Gaur Mohan, was lenient with Abai. Srila Prabhupada related to Tamal Krishna Goswami in 1977. When I was about 5 or 6 years old, any carpenter I saw, I would ask him, why don't you make a Rath Yatra cart for me? Yes, why not, they would say. I would have my father take me to the carpenter shop, but none of them would make it. One old lady, she saw me crying on the street because I could not have the Rath Yatra cart built. She asked my father, why is he crying? And my father explained, because he wants a Rath Yatra cart, but no carpenter is making it. I have got one, said the old lady, and my father purchased it from her. He bought oil paint for me, and I painted it. I was also preparing fireworks for the occasion. I saw little books on how to do it. My father gave me anything I wanted, and thus he put my mother into great anxiety. Rajani, Abai's mother, had high aspirations for her son. She wanted to send him to London to become educated as a lawyer, but Gaur Mohan refused. His dream for Abai was to grow up singing bhajans, playing mridanga, and speaking on Srimad Bhagavatam. When Abai first learned to play the mridanga, he was so small that his tiny hands could barely reach the drum heads at the opposite ends of the drum. However, with practice and age, he learned all the basic rhythms, while Gaur Mohan looked on with pleasure. Srila Prabhupada once pointed out an old scar on his leg to his servant, Shrutakirti, during the daily massage, and he told him the story of how it happened. Once, little Abai, who was only 3 years old at the time, was fascinated with these magic sticks that he would see his mother light to make a fire. One day, when no one was looking, he took some of the matches and was playing with them in front of his house. When he dropped a lit match on his cloth, it caught on fire. Abai screamed very loudly, and out of nowhere, a man appeared and put out the fire, thus saving little Abai's life. When he related this story to the devotees, it seemed to them that the Lord had directly intervened by sending this unknown man to save his pure devotee. This next story shows Srila Prabhupada's determination as well as his sharp intelligence. My students really connected with this one. We even acted it out and they found it hilarious. Many of them were especially good at showing us what a really good tantrum would look like. One day, Abai was in the marketplace with his father, Gaur Mohan. When he saw a toy gun, he immediately wanted it. At first, his father refused, and then Abai started to cry. All right, said Gaur Mohan, and he bought his son the gun. But then Abai wanted another gun. But you already have one, laughed his father. Why do you need another one? I want one for each hand, cried Abai, and then he lay down in the street and began to kick his feet and cry very loudly. When Gaur Mohan agreed to get the second gun, Abai finally stopped crying and he was happy. At this point, I made a joke with the children in my class. So you see, all you naughty boys, Srila Prabhupada was also naughty sometimes. So if you just become Krishna conscious, you can become good devotees and follow him. Then recently at our parent-teacher meetings, one father related that when he told his son he was being very naughty, the boy replied, No, I am just like Abai. It is good to be naughty. It is good to be a naughty boy like him. Luckily, the parents saw the funny side of this and we all had a good laugh. When Abai's mother, Rajani, wanted her hair braided, she would ask one of her daughters to do it. But if Abai were present, he would insist on braiding it himself and would create such a fuss that they would have to give in to him. Once he painted the bottoms of his feet red, imitating the custom of women who paint their feet on festive occasions. His mother tried to dissuade him, saying it was not for children, but he insisted, No, I must do it also. When Srila Prabhupada described this pastime, he chuckled and he added, When I was young, I was very stubborn. Whatever I wanted, I must have. Then he paused and shook his head. Even today, I am the same. Dear Srila Prabhupada, we are eternally grateful for your stubborn and determined will that you use so transcendently in Lord Krishna's service. Otherwise, we would not be sitting here at your lotus feet today. We would never have been lifted up from the quagmire of material life and given the chance to aspire for pure devotional service. With your strong will and your pen lit by fire, your immortal instructions and purports are still burning up the ignorance in our hearts and in this world. May they continue lighting up the lives of generations of your sincere followers. Dear Srila Prabhupada, on this most blessed of all days, please help this lowly daughter to remain always firmly connected with you and with your divine mission. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Wait, oh, we can't hear Krishna Chandra.
Hare Krishna, devotee.
I don't know.
There's no sound coming from the temple. I'm trying to figure out how to find it.
Going to Krishna's house.
Okay, we're going to have homages from online now. Atmananda, would you like to start? I don't know. I can't hear anyone. Sorry, was somebody speaking?
Yeah,
Okay, sorry. Sorry, okay. I'm going to mute everybody, and if Krishnananda was speaking, please unmute yourself. So I've muted everybody. Had somebody started talking? I couldn't hear.
Now I'm unmuted.
Okay. Yeah, now we can hear Atmananda. Sorry if I cut somebody off. I can hear. Okay.
Shall I go ahead?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna. This is an offering I wrote for Prabhupada that was published in the Srila Prabhupada's International Tributes book.
Could you turn your video on, please?
Sorry, I thought it was.
Your video is on.
My video's on. Can you not see me? Arjun, can you see me?
Yeah, sorry, I'd pinned the temple video, so you go now. Oh, wait, your video is on.
Okay. Right. Now we'll start again. I offer my most respectful and humble obeisances in the dust of the lotus-like feet of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is very dear to Lord Krishna on this earth, having taken shelter of his lotus feet. All glories to you, O spiritual master, servant of Saraswati. You are kindly preaching the message of Sri Chaitanya Dev and delivering the Western countries, which are filled with voidism and impersonalism. By the mercy of the spiritual master, a lame man can cross over mountains, and a dumb man can compose eloquent poetry. Prabhupada, I heard you promise us something back in 1971. You said, quote, if you simply chant 16 rounds a day and follow the 4 regulator principles, there is nothing that can keep you from going back to Godhead in this lifetime, end quote. This is what you promised us, Srila Prabhupada, at our initiation ceremony in August of 1971 at your birthplace, Radha London Ishvara Temple. And then you raised your index finger and you said emphatically, and that is a fact, end quote. Dearest Srila Prabhupada, I am convinced that the best way to glorify you is to be exemplary myself, to follow your instructions fully, especially these foundational ones. I may see your power and glory differently, but you always gave credit to your spiritual master for anything you achieved. However, you often qualified that by saying that if you deserved any credit, it was because you had not changed anything. In other words, you followed him perfectly. And I understand that to mean that you followed his instructions, and more than just the basic ones, of course. Your glories, and in a sense, his glory and success in fulfilling Lord Chaitanya's prediction was a result of your following his instructions. I take this as a clear indication that my possibility for glorifying you lies in how well I follow your instructions. As I do that, I will become pleasing to you, and others will understand your inconceivable potency and love and want to taste for themselves. Naturally, they will become interested in Krishna consciousness and thus surrender to you, the perfect, loving, all-attractive representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As you said in the Adi Lila CC, Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Supreme Personality of Servitor Godhead. In the Bhagavad Gita preface, you write, "We hope, therefore, that people will derive the greatest benefit by studying Bhagavad Gita as it is, as we have presented it here. And if even one man becomes a pure devotee of the Lord, we shall consider our attempt a success." And Prabhupada, you may have been told by now that Bhaktin Tulsi Gabbard offered a very nice Janmashtami message. I think it was just yesterday. Very humble and very nice. And she was glorifying Bhagavad Gita, a little bit like Mahatma Gandhi. That she said she always turns to it in times of great trouble. She described this time in history as a time of great troubles and conflicts and waves crashing around us in different forms. So a very, very beautiful offering by a prominent, well and outspoken member of the American government, becoming Krishna conscious and sharing Krishna consciousness because of your influence, Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada, you know that I am struggling. I know that the better I follow your instructions, the more you are glorified. Your glories are magnified when your followers, your benediction to the world, manifest your supernatural potency, your love and compassion. I am praying to you, please, to help me to become most serious about following these foundational instructions as if my life depends on it, because it does. You are giving us these foundations of real life and all the floors on top of that foundation. Best of all, you give the topmost floor, the ever-expanding palatial suite, which is love for our dearmost mentor, friend, and deliverer, Lord Sri Krishna. You're also giving us all the steps on the way, from Shraddha to Prem, from faith to pure love for Krishna. And most importantly, how to practice them and realize them and share them with others. You always strongly emphasize these foundations, the basics, chanting minimum 16 rounds a day while avoiding offenses, ultimately without any offense, and strictly following the 4 regular principles. Without these, you declared repeatedly, we simply remain crying in the wilderness, chewing on sharp thorns and swallowing our own blood, as you use the metaphor of the camel so often. As much as I am strong in these, I can please and serve you expansively and gloriously. And in a letter, Srila Prabhupada, of February 1970, you wrote, I may inform you that in order to maintain our status of spiritual strength, every one of us must very rigidly chant daily 16 rounds without fail and follow the regular principles strictly. This is essential for understanding our philosophy. I'll repeat that. This is essential for understanding our philosophy clearly and for being able to impress Krishna consciousness in the hearts of others. So our sincerity in this respect is most important, and all such duties should be observed regularly by everyone. I hope that you will see that all the boys and girls there, with Los Angeles, are following this process and studying our literatures carefully, end quote. Srila Prabhupada, I can thus be exemplary by following your trail in your footsteps, and therefore naturally attract the most intelligent and qualified souls to your effulgent Sankirtan family. But I cannot do so by imitating you and thus risking everything. As you stated in a lecture in 1968, quote, those who are powerful, if they do something which is very extraordinary, that is not to be imitated. You have to follow the rules and regulations. That will give you progress. Don't try to imitate. Just be in your position. Try to follow the rules and regulations and chant Hare Krishna, and gradually you'll get results. There is no need of being hasty, end quote. This requires the Trinada P mentality. As Lord Chaitanya said, the mood in which we chant the Maha Mantra in a humble state of mind, as you explain in a letter on March 17, 1973, quote, a pure devotee always thinks himself as not devotee. That is a good attitude. If one thinks he is big devotee, that is not good, thinking that he is first degree. We should not be puffed up. A devotee avoids it, remaining always in the second degree. A dog is a faithful servant. To become lowest dog is to become on the highest platform of service, end quote. So as I claim to be your aspiring disciple, your genuine follower, Srila Prabhupada, then my focus must be on how well I am chanting Krishna's holy names, giving up all offense. Of course, that means I must be chanting at least 16 rounds every day. If I am chanting sincerely, then I will see Krishna's pastimes, entourage, paraphernalia, form, name, etc., as you say in a letter, quote, hearing the vibration of Hare Krishna automatically reminds one of Krishna's pastimes. So both of them arise simultaneously in the mind when one is sincerely chanting. So you cannot make any distinction between listening to the sound and thinking of the pastimes. But the process is to hear, and then Krishna's pastimes, form, qualities, etc., will automatically come to mind. That is very nice. So I'm just describing now what I was thinking about that previously. Being such a fallen, rebellious, and faithless fool, I doubted that this was actually true. So in beating my mind, I'm choosing to accept what you say instead of doubting, even though I have not the experience of thinking of and remembering Krishna's pastimes as I am chanting. I am rather choosing to conclude that I'm not chanting sincerely instead of doubting your word, Srila Prabhupada. Then later, I found this statement by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and I understood from this more deeply what you meant, and I was also encouraged to progress without discouragement. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati wrote, I am overjoyed to hear that your enthusiasm for chanting is increasing. As our contaminations are removed by chanting the Lord's form, the Lord's form, qualities, and pastimes will be revealed to us in the holy name. There is no point in making a separate effort to artificially remember the Lord's form, qualities, and pastimes. I'll repeat that. There is no point in making a separate effort to artificially remember the Lord's form, qualities, and pastimes. The Lord and his name are one and the same. This will be understood clearly when the coverings in your heart are removed. By chanting without offenses, you will personally realize that all perfections come from the holy name. Through chanting, the distinction that exists between the self and the gross and subtle bodies is gradually effaced, and one realizes one's own spiritual form. Once aware of the spiritual body, as one continues to chant, one sees the transcendental nature of the Lord's form. Only the holy name reveals the spiritual form of the living being, and then causes him to be attracted to Krishna's form. Only the holy name reveals the spiritual qualities of the living being, and then causes him to be attracted to Krishna's qualities. Only the holy name reveals the spiritual activities of the living being, and then causes him to be attracted to Krishna's pastimes. By service to the holy name, we do not mean only the chanting of the holy name. It also includes the other duties of the chanter. This is still Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati speaking. If we serve the holy name with the body, mind, and soul, then the direction of that service spontaneously manifests like the sun in the clear sky of the chanter's heart. What is the nature of the holy name? Eventually, all these understandings spontaneously appear in the heart of one who chants the holy name. The true nature of Harinam is revealed by listening to, reading, and studying the scriptures. It is unnecessary to write anything further on this subject. All these things will be revealed to you through chanting. From the book entitled Bhakti Siddhanta Vaibhav, written by His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Swami. Srila Prabhupada, you have given me some impetus, a little desire to chant with sincerity. According to your advice for offenseless chanting, I have been praying to have the strongest desire, to desperately chant, to desperately desire to chant without offense, with full, undivided attention, and with love and devotion. Please continue to bless me to become fully surrendered and actively living according to your instructions without deviation. Your struggling yet committed servant, Atmananda Das. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Cool. Thank you, Atmananda. We're running a bit tight on time, so if devotees can keep them short, that would be great. So Shantanu wanted to speak. Can you please unmute yourself?
Hare Krishna. Can you hear me, Prabhu?
Yeah, we can hear you fine. Go ahead.
Okay. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Charu Swami Niti Namini Snekta Chita Supranito Bhagvinam Chara Supratam Prabhupada Gata Prana Namami Bhakti Charu Padam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunavati Paschatya Deshatari. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, Prabhu. In this auspicious day of Srila Prabhupada's appearance, I remember my Guru Maharaj too, His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, who was Prabhupada Gata Prana and served Srila Prabhupada most intimately in his last phase of life. I would like to express my gratitude and obeisances to Srila Prabhupada through His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Guru Maharaj homages to Srila Prabhupada this year. Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my most humble obeisances unto your divine lotus feet. As I am trying to compose my Vyasa Puja offering, I cannot help but reflect on the world situation today. The whole world is in the grip of intense fear caused by a pandemic, and practically everything has come to a standstill. The whole of India is on lockdown, and no one is allowed to go out of his house. For the first time in history, all the places of worship, temples, mosques, churches, and synagogues have been shut down. No one could have ever imagined that such a situation would arise. Nevertheless, I can see the foresight of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, knowing that such a situation would arise when no one would be able to go to the temple to see the deities of the Lord and worship him. He gave us the process of chanting his holy name. At a time like this, I also wonder whether this is his divine arrangement to force this world to surrender unto him and accept the process of congregational chanting. After all, he sent you to fulfill his prediction, and very systematically, you have made all the arrangements by creating the institution of ISKCON and training an army of dedicated devotees worldwide. An army that is marching forward equipped with most powerful weapons of your books to defeat the misdirected atheistic civilization of this world. On this auspicious day of your Vyas Puja, please bless us so that we can become valiant warriors in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's army and fight against the enemy that has vitiated the whole world with sinful activities. Please lead us as our glorious general to lay siege to meat eating, and intoxication, illicit sex, and gambling. Under your divine leadership, we are confident the victory will be ours, that we will defeat the eternal enemy of this world which corrupts everyone's mind with the poison of atheism. Once again, under your expert guidance, let us establish the kingdom of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in this world. When we have a pure devotee like you to lead us and the Supreme Personality of Godhead with us, then who can never doubt our victory? Who can never doubt that the omnious influence of Kali will be defeated and the absolute peace and ultimate prosperity will prevail again, bringing the spiritual world down to this beautiful planet of ours. Thank you, your humble servant, eternally, His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj. Joy Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada, you are our general, and you have shown us the how to face the challenges of material life through your lives. In your life, you have seen so many challenges, but you have always won those challenges. One of them, when you landed in America, so how you prayed to Krishna to face the challenges, and we also take the shelter on your lotus feet so that we can win those challenges in our material life. So I am to express my gratitude to Srila Prabhupada by his prayers to Krishna, one song through one song. Krishna Padhamero Kripa koile Krishna Lagiya nideheta Adoye Kripa koile Krishna Kari chotogo mane nahi geno kami geno yugo sane ache kichu kari chotogo mane nahi geno kami geno yugo sane
So we got to carry on with the rest of the homages. We've got other people waiting. Oh, it's not letting me unmute. Krishnananda, would you like to give your offering now? Sorry, we've got to carry on with the program. We're running low on time. Thank you for that, though.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Krishnananda, would you like to speak? Are you ready? Can you unmute yourself? If not, we can have Krishnendu. Krishnendu, are you ready to go? Or we can have Baba Sandi. I was told these people were wanting to speak. Otherwise, if just...
Hi, Krishna.
Okay. Could you turn your video on? Yeah, there we go. Oh, there's a terrible backlight. Cool.
Linda.
All right, go for it.
Krishna Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pasaya Bdalaya Shimati Deva Mujasam Ishtamani Pratchala Purvaraksham Chavik Chaltra Pranata Parata Tapikaramaya Mesa Sirvishtain Maha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pasaya Bdalaya Shimati Bhaktivinoda Samti Bhagavani Vichani Vishesha Shindaya Srila Prabhupada, you have the vision to see things as they really are. In your Vrindavan Bhajana, you've explained about the spirit soul totally bound in Maya's illusion, saying he's doing fine, as you write. Although no one is actually fine here in the material world, one person is saying, I'm fine. In this way, Maya completely deceives the conditioned soul within her grasp. Being enchanted by Maya's deception, these souls remain perpetually engrossed in illusion. Although Maya severely kicks them during their attempts to enjoy, they still refuse to give up their enchantment. And, in this way, the fallen souls wander through the egg-like material universe until, eventually, by the causeless mercy of Guru and Krishna, they receive the eternal treasure of devotional service. Your words cut through this facade of doing fine, like a sword of knowledge. You see the potential of every spirit soul to be engaged in Krishna's service, and make it your life's mission to help them on that journey. Today I'm begging your mercy that I may sharpen my intelligence by constant hearing of your words, and I may have the determination, courage, and ability to share them with others. And so, on this point of sharing Srila Prabhupada's words with others, at the start of in the middle of the lockdown, the original lockdown, a small group of devotees got together to distribute books. Many of them hadn't actually ever done that before, and we said that on Srila Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja we would just say our book scores as a small offering to Srila Prabhupada. The devotees, of course, didn't go out on the street. They were distributing books over the telephone to people, and so it was really enlivening to see devotees, especially new to this service, getting a taste for distributing of books. So these are a small offering from the New Bashan COVID-19 book distribution calling team, which was 98 small books, 58 medium books, 90 big books, 115 Bhagavad Gitas, and 4 Srimad Bhagavatam sets. So that's 433 Bhagavad Gitas, and we just wanted to offer that to Srila Prabhupada on his Vyasa Puja and beg for his mercy that we may be able to continue as a team in that service. Thank you. Bye.
Jai, Jai, Jai.
Is Sister Chaitanya there? Would you like to read an offering? No. If not, then we can go back to the temple room. Oh, here we go. Okay. You're muted. Can you please turn your mic on? We can't hear you at all. You've got to unmute. Oh, maybe I can unmute you. Let me see. Oh, yeah, we still can't hear you at all. Just hang on. I think you've got it. There we go. Okay. Now we can hear you.
Can I start my offering?
Yeah, you can start now. Yeah, go ahead.
Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Satade Govani Chari Vishishindavati Satadhatare Om Similarly, partial and 12 Srila Prabhupada at first of my humble obeisance to you, lotus feet. Today is the most precious day in my life because you appear on the spiritual sky of this in this material world. I'm so unqualified that I don't have any quality to glorify you. If you give me one drop of mercy, then I may be able to glorify you. But you are pure duty of Lord. You are most dear to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu sent you this material world because although and deliver the entire world, he does not do it himself, but rather we should give credit to his devotees. Mahaprabhu said, Pritite Sajatu Varadram Sarvatra Pyario Hemonam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's prediction was that every sound and village his holy name will live. Prabhupada, your spiritual master, Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Bhagavan, instructed you to spread this message of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the way. Went to the Western countries and fulfilled your Guru Maharaj's mission. After 1 year, you established Islam with 10 years of your 10 years service to your Guru Maharaj built 108 temples all over the world, and you wrote so many books like Srimad Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, it is, and Chaitanya Charitamrita, and so on. Many boys and girls read your books, change the life and heart. They became devotees. If you don't come to this material world, then so many demons or Bhagavadis would have filled this world and destroyed Vedic culture. You appear and say this word only by mercy. I got my spiritual master. You have so many disciples. I think that my spiritual master is most dear to me. He always guides us to spiritual progress. Prabhupada, you built this society just like a ship, and you are captain of the ship. Those who join the ship of the society easily go across the ocean of real existence. The member of the society will go to get back home. Only your mercy and Guru Maharaj's mercy that I have done Sankit service for many years. On instruction of Guru Maharaj, now I am doing other service. Please shower your mercy upon me so that I may able to serve Guru Maharaj better, and I am so fluent that I can't speak so nicely. Only forgive me, your insignificant servant, the Son. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Jai. This is, of course, offering done by Srivikam Das. Just I am very proud on this occasion. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. All right, we'll take it back to the temple room now. I believe there's a few people there ready to give their offerings.
Finish, probably.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just lost the connection.
They're just getting the iPhone set up again. That should be going in a second.
Please. Hare Krishna. Thank you, devotees who were on the Zoom meeting. Thank you so much. And I'm sorry, very sorry that if you didn't get a chance to continue your homages to Srila Prabhupada, due to time constraint, we have to move on. So we've got a few devotees here in the temple room, and then we'll have Srila Prabhupada's
Sorry,
Abhishek. Hare
Prabhuji,
Krishna.
I can't get into it.
Hare Krishna. Is it going?
Everyone else can hear you, but just the temple room.
Oh,
okay, so.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. Sure. Hare Krishna. You can hear me? Everyone can hear me? All right. As always, I like the anxiety of waiting till the last hour before I write an offering. Prabhupada, somehow or other that pain and pleasure is relishable in some strange way. So, dear Srila Prabhupada, I've realized now that I will never be able to fully realize who you are and what you have given, because your qualities and your writing transcend any mundane limits of this world. I think you had said, if you want to know me, read my books. Srila Prabhupada is an eternally liberated soul on the topmost level of love of Krishna, and his writings are just pieces of pure spiritual energy. So on reading, we can never get to a final level of understanding, because they take us on a journey of deeper and deeper understanding beyond this limited world, all the way to Krishna's own home. Even if we had a lifetime of 1,000 years, still we would never find, we would always find more and more nectar and understanding of Krishna's glories in Srila Prabhupada's books. We know from the Bhagavatam that when topics of Krishna are tasted and passed from the lips of successive pure devotees, those topics become ever the more relishable. I see this practically in Srila Prabhupada's writings. For example, in one of the stories, the Sanskrit says, the devotees saw Krishna smiling. And that is the literal translation. But then Prabhupada adds the word charmingly, as in they saw Krishna smiling charmingly. This takes us from the simple observation they saw Krishna smiling to the effect that it had on them. They were charmed, and their hearts were affected by Krishna's charming smile. So just this one word takes us deeper, and so for our benefit, he adds words and phrases to better our clarity over understanding. It is not that Prabhupada's translations are inaccurate in any way. On the contrary, he adds, so that there is no loss in translation. There is a saying, reading between the lines. For example, if someone writes a letter to you, and if you know that person really well, then then whatever they have written to you, and reading between the lines, sometimes you can find some additional meanings. Similarly, being an intimate associate of Krishna, Prabhupada seems to be able to personally see scenes from Krishna's Leela and in full detail, and then describe them to us. This is why no mundane Sanskrit scholar can ever give us Krishna. Only Prabhupada can give us Krishna. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Dearest and beloved Srila Prabhupada, this is titled, Your Beautiful Gift. Homagyana Timirandasya Kananjanan Chalakaya Chakshu Ummilitam Jaina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Deeply engrossed in darkness and ignorance, fear and anxiety ever increasing, so many lost souls grappling with a dark reality, searching for the light of truth. So many theories abound as to what is reality and truth. So many paths leading only to deeper, darker ignorance. But for those fortunate enough to take shelter of you, you traveled across the ocean to bring a gift, putting your own life at risk, to bring peace and unity among the contending forces in the world, to propagate the sense of Godhead and bring individuals closer to God, to encourage the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, to prove that Krishna is the only enjoyer, to save lost souls from the chain of victimization, so that they may again be free and live freely with spiritual vision, to introduce a simpler and more natural purpose in life, to discourage intoxication and addictive habits, to bring us home to our eternal reality. The beautiful gift, the light of knowledge, and the holy name that you have given, even the sun, which lights up the universe, cannot compare. The light of transcendental knowledge you have given gives eternal, ever-increasing light to the hearts and the souls of all living entities that embrace it. Your beautiful gift, Srila Prabhupada, is like the waxing moon that gradually increases its radiance until the effulgence of that full moon completely lights up our consciousness with the love of Krishna. Your beautiful gift is the force of purity and the might of Krishna that conquers my unwieldy mind and bridles my voracious senses. Your beautiful gift, Srila Prabhupada, is that wonderful friend who sits in the core of our hearts. Dear Srila Prabhupada, I am eternally grateful and indebted for that gift. All glories to your divine grace. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Thank you, Prabhu. Before we move on to the next, which is Srila Prabhupada's Abhishek, maybe devotees who are on the Zoom, maybe one more person, any volunteer? Arjuna Prabhu?
I'm not sure if we have anyone lined up. I'd asked in the comments, is there anyone on Zoom who would like to speak? If so, you can just unmute yourself. It doesn't seem like there's anyone waiting to speak.
Sorry, what did you say, Arjuna?
It doesn't seem like anyone's waiting to speak.
So once again, thank you all devotees who are on the Zoom and few devotees who are present here. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, as we know the situation, what's happening here in Auckland, due to the lockdown, we have to go this way, and we definitely miss all the devotees who are not here, but that's what it is. Now we'll have Srila Prabhupada's Abhishek. So devotees who are on Zoom, you are most welcome to step back and watch the Abhishek on the Facebook as well. We are doing the live as well. So now it's Srila Prabhupada's Abhishek. Srila Prabhupada ki.
I'll just check. I'll just find out if they're going to do the live stream through Zoom or not. Maybe they'll do it from the temple Facebook page.
I didn't get that. What was that again?
Sorry, what did you say?
I didn't hear what you said.
I'm just going to find out if they're going to do the live stream for the Abhishek on Zoom or not.
Okay, so we just wait?
Either that or they might do it from, they'll probably do it from the temple Facebook page, which is Hare Krishna Auckland on Facebook or something like that.
Okay.
I'm just asking them. I can post the link in the comments once I figure it out. So
okay, thank you.
Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityamine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prachanine Nirvishesha Chanyamani Paschatya Deshatarine. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Nitya Nitya Haribo, 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 Nitya Gora Haribo. Nitya Gora Haribo, 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 Nitya Gora Haribo. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
We'll offer to Srila Prabhupada and then we'll offer wheat flowers at that time. So if we can move forward a little bit. Om Ganati Mirandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vasakan Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatharane Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namane Sri Vashavanavi Devi Dayitaya Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Dayane Prabhave Namaha Madhuryo Jvala Premadya Sirupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Sri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Virudha Pasidanta Twanta Harine Nama Gaura Kishoraya Shakshat Vairagya Murtaye Vipralamba Rasambode Padambujaya Te Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Parayate Gaura Vibhavas Umes Tvam Nideshta Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannathaya Te Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhuvayevacha Patitanam Pavenibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratvishya Namaha Panchatattvamakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktyavataram Bhaktakyam Namani Bhakta Shaktikam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Jayatam Surato Pangor Mama Manda Mategati Vatsavasha Padam Bojo Radha Madana Mahano Divyad Vrindranya Vidranya Kalpadrumadha Srimad Ratnangara Ashto Srimad Radha Srila Govindo Devo Prishtalabhi Sevyamano Smara
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya
Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Pushpanjali Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Pushpanjali Srila Prabhupada ki Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Pushpanjali His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki Gaur Premanande Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada
Charana Padma Jivalabhati Sadma Shri Guru Charana Padma Jivalabhati Sadma Vandamui Samanana Mate Vandamui Samanana Mate Yahara Prasari Bhai Ibaba Turiyaja Yahara Prasari Bhai Ibaba Turiyaja Krishna Bhakti Hoya Hoite Krishna Bhakti Hoya Hoite Mukha Padmavakya Sititi Koriyakya Mukha Padmavakya Sititi Koriyakya Arna Koriyomani Asa Arna Koriyomani Asa Nirate Ese Otamagati Shri Guru Charani Rate Ese Otamagati Pasare Puritava Asa Hey. Ye Prasare Puritava Asa Sakudano Dilai Jame Jame Prabhu Se Sakudana Dilai Jame Jame Prabhu Se Adivya Mere Pakasita Adivya Mere Pakasita Oh, Prema Bhakti Lokina Loki Rajivana. Hey Lokina Loki Rajivana. Lokina Loki Rajivana. Ah Prabhu Kodadaya Nimohi Pradachaya. Hey Prabhu Kodadaya Nimohi Pradachaya. Ai Vyasa Gusu Tribhavana. Srila Prabhupada Patita Pavana. Aha Prabhu Kodadaya Nimoy Pradachaya. Aha Prabhu Kodadaya Nimoy Pradachaya. Srila Prabhupada Patita Pavana. Srila Prabhupada Patita Pavana. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Hey Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada K. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Hey, Namaste, Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Pacharine, Nivasesha Sunyavadi, Bhattacharya Satarine. Gauravani Pacharine, Nivasesha Sunyavadi. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Nowhere. Stuck here. Stuck here. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Prabhupada. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda, Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivasadi. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Go Prem. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hey, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hey, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Prabhupada. Hey, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hey, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hey, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Night. Hey, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hey, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hey, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Oh Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada K. Back home, back to Srila Prabhupada K. Go Premananda. Jai Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivraj Chakracharya Astotata Srimad, His Divine Grace, His God's founder Acharya Rasi Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Prem se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Gidi Govardhana Ki. Shri Vrindavan Dhamma Ki. Mayapur Dhamma Ki. Jagannath Puri Dhamma Ki. Tulsi Devi, Brinda Devi Ki, Hare Nam Sankirtana Ki, Book Distribution Ki, Prashadam Distribution Ki, Go Premananda, Hare Hare Bo. Oh, glories to the assemble devotees. Oh, glories to the assemble devotees. Oh, glories to the assemble devotees. Oh, glories to Sri Sri Guru Gauranga Ki Jai. No, Mr. Bada, Krishna Basna, Blash, Matapat, Panamas, Nam, Stays there. It's what they want to join in. Oi.
There was a suggestion that we could keep going with homages. Would anybody like to offer homage to Srila Prabhupada now? All right, I guess we'll just wrap it up there then. Thanks for tuning in. Our first attempt at a live stream. Hare Krishna.